Hey, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back to my Football Manager 2021 mobile tutorial videos. And this video is a simple instruction on how to use the drag feature when you're on the formation page. I'm going to use Joe Willock, for example. So the classic approach would be to click and then press. Click and then press. It's 2020 now, and now if you just put an impression on his sticker, you could drag wherever you want them to go. Just impress upon his sticker and it will follow your thumb wherever you want the player to go. So that's a cool little feature. It might save you time if you're quickly changing your shape for an upcoming opponent. Maybe you have to go more defensive, or maybe you could express yourself a bit more. Just again impress on the sticker and you could drag and drop wherever you want to go. We're going to focus on the player roles in this game and go into their deep descriptions so we can figure out what's what and where's where. So to start us off, let's go to the tactics menu. And of course, we have a goalkeeper line, a defensive line, a midfielder line, and a forward line. In this video, we'll keep it simple. We'll focus on the goalkeeper line. In the next 3 videos, we'll do the other 3 sections of the field, okay? So goalkeeper. When picking your goalkeeper, you give him 2 roles. The first role, classic goalkeeper. The goalkeeper role focuses on simple and risk-free use of the ball, with the keeper simply looking to play the ball away from the goal to an open player. If a player is not open, the keeper will play it long and safe. That's one style of goalkeeping. I like to use this one though, the sweeper keeper. The sweeper keeper aims to perform 2 roles, that of the standard goalkeeper and of the outfield sweeper. Along standard goalkeeping duties, he will sweep up the balls in front of and wide of the penalty area, and he'll initiate the counter-attacking moves. So depending on your style of team, your style of play, type of players you have, the quality of the players you have, which type of goalkeeper is better for you? And now we're going to focus on the defensive line. So to start off, let's start with the wide areas. We're going to put Saka back to a classic fullback spot, and let's see what's available. So we could see here in a classic fullback position, we have 4 different player roles. The first one, the fullback. The fullback is a key player in modern football, having to supplement his traditional defensive duties with overlapping runs down the wing to support forward play and help the attackers overload the final third. We also have the wingback player role, the one that I like to use. Usually playing out wide with no wing support, the wingback must fulfill all the attacking and defensive duties of both a winger and a fullback. This is particularly helpful if we have inside forwards that like to cut in. We also have the defensive fullback. The defensive fullback focuses predominantly on his defensive duties, scarcely going forward into an attacking role and holding a solid defensive line to frustrate the opposition. You may want to use this later on in the game when defending a lid. And here's a new position in this game, the inverted wingback. The inverted wingback will function defensively much like a standard wingback. However, while a wingback offers width to an attack, the inverted wingback will attempt to drift inside and create space for players around him. So this one's really good if you have a classic winger up top. This wingback will cut inside doing an underlap and support through the center channel versus the wide area. So depending on what type of fullbacks you have, what are you going to use? You also have marking, zonal, and defending when dealing with the defending lines. If we see what the wingback looks here, still a wingback, an inverted wingback. So now let's focus on the center backs. The center backs have 5 different player roles. The central defender. The main job of the central defender is to stop opposing attacks from playing and to clear the ball from danger when required. Pretty standard. Here's the one I like to use, the ball playing defender. The main job of the ball playing defender is to stop opposing attacks from playing. However, unlike the standard central defender, this player is encouraged to bring the ball out of the defense or launch splitting through balls from deep to generate counter-attacking opportunities. This is my favorite one to use by far. If players can't play this style of play, I sell them and I bring in players that can. My second favorite one is the no-nonsense center back. The main job of the no-nonsense center back is to stop opposing attackers from playing and to clear the ball from danger when required. The aim is to win the ball without giving away any free kick and get it cleared safely up the pitch with a no-nonsense manner. So I like that type of center back as well. We have the classic sweeper. Maybe we bring this guy in at the late of the game. Used to be a very popular tactics in Italy and such countries back in the 70s and 80s. And let's see what a sweeper's about. The sweeper drops behind the defensive line, aiming to sweep up the through balls and pick up extra attackers and make goal-saving tackles, blocks, and interceptions. Make goal-saving tackles, blocks, and interceptions. And our last role here, the libero. The libero drops behind the defensive line, aiming to sweep up through balls and pick up extra attackers. His exceptional athleticism and reading of the game allows him to roam freely forward when in possession to support the midfield. So this center back will join the attack more or less. So again, based off the players you have, what style is good for you? Midfield line. We'll use Granit Xhaka, and we'll see what roles he could play in this position, the center mid. So central midfielder. The central midfielder is responsible for providing an industrious and versatile link between the defense and the attack. Expected to perform a variety of tasks across the center of the pitch, the center midfielder benefits from having tactical awareness and technical ability to support both defensive and attacking play if needed. The deep line playmaker. The deep line playmaker operates in the space between the defense and the midfield and aims to initiate attacking moves via pinpoint passes to players positioned higher up the pitch. We have the ball winning midfielder. Playing in the center mid, the ball winning midfielder's main function is to close down the opposition and win the ball. However, he also needs the technical skills to help the team keep possession and fashion out chances for players with attacking roles. We have the box-to-box midfielder. The non-stop dynamism of the box-to-box midfielder enables him to contribute greatly to both defending and attacking. He requires great energy and stamina to support the forwards when attacking and to get back to help the defense when the possession is turned over. We have the advanced playmaker. The advanced playmaker aims to drop into the holes between the opposition's midfield and defense, making himself available for teammates' passes and aiming to turn defense into attack in an instant. Quick transition forwards, another case. We've added this sixth role. It's brand new. It's called the roaming playmaker. The roaming playmaker is the heartbeat of his team, driving forward with the ball to spearhead attacks, as well as tracking back to cover defensively. Always offering a passing option to teammates, the roaming midfielder must have physical attributes to maintain a high intensity, as well as the technical attributes to stamp his authority on the game, like Thomas Partey. So those are the 6 player roles for those in the center mid. Let's see if we go into a more defensive place. What changes? So when you're inside the defensive midfielder position, you have ball-winning midfielder, deep line playmaker. We have some new ones, so let's take a look. The defensive midfielder. The defensive midfielder's main duties are to protect the defensive line from breaking attackers by closing them down quickly and to support the creative midfielders when in possession. The second, more defensive-focused player role is anchorman. The anchorman's main duty is to sit in the hole between the defense and the midfield, intercepting moves, winning the ball, and laying off simple passes for more creative teammates. So those are 2 you could use when in this position. As well, you have the deep line playmaker still have the ball-winning midfielder, and you still have the roaming playmaker. Notice when you're using the defensive player roles, you can still do man marking or zonal marking. But if he's more of an attacking type midfielder, you don't get those options. So something to keep in mind. All right, lastly, we have the attacking midfielder. So an Ozil type player. Let's take a look. So the attacking midfielder. The attacking midfielder requires excellent technical and mental skills. The attacking midfielder operates higher up the pitch than the standard midfielder, where he fashions chances for himself and others in the final third before opposition defenders reduce the time and space he has to make his play. Sounds like an Ozil type player. Advanced playmaker is just like in the center mid. The advanced playmaker aims to drop into the holes between the opposition's midfield and defense, making himself available for teammates' passes and aiming to turn defense into attack in an instant. Trequartista. Although the trequartista is similar to the advanced playmaker, in that he aims to drop in the holes between the opposition's midfield and defense. The Tocorista does far less defensively and simply drifts around looking for space when the team is not in possession. And our final attacking midfielder role is the shadow striker. The shadow striker aggressively pushes forward into goal-scoring positions as the ball moves into the final third, and he looks to close down the opposition defenders when out of possession. Very good for high pressing system. Now, if you're a person that likes more of a 4-4-2 or a 4-5-1, you're also going to have the wide midfielder. So let's take Martinelli out of the forward line for a second, and we'll put him into the wide midfielder. What are the roles that we have here? So the wide midfielder. Again, you could mark zonal or man-on-man. The wide midfielder performs defensive and attacking duties on the flanks, supporting the forwards, midfield, and defense when required. They generally rely on teamwork and work rate to get into dangerous attacking positions without compromising their defensive responsibilities. We have the defensive winger. The defensive winger aims to press the opposing fullbacks, win the ball back high up the pitch, and either hold it up for the rest of the team, drive to the byline, or get a quick cross or through ball for the forwards. We also have the winger. The winger aims to beat his man on the outside and needs to be technically proficient as well as quick in order to do so. The winger hugs the touchline, and when the team is going forward, he's ready to surge into space and attack the byline. We also have this new position in the game, this new player role called the inverted winger. The inverted winger shows diagonal movement far more often than the conventional winger. He will move infield, giving space on for wingbacks to push forward along the flanks. So this guy will be doing underlaps and he'll be cutting in towards the center of the pitch, while your classic winger will stay out wide. Your classic midfielder goes up and down more. Your defensive winger stays back. Attacking positions. Let's start off with Martinelli and the wide attacker. The winger. The winger aims to beat his man on the outside and needs to be technically proficient as well as quick to do so. The winger hugs the touchline, and when the team is going forward, he's ready to surge into space and attack the byline. We have the advanced playmaker. The advanced playmaker aims to drop into holes between the opposition's midfield and defense, making himself available for teammates' passing and aiming to turn the defense into attack in an instant. Now we have the inside forward, which I personally like the best. The inside forward aims to cut inside from the flanks and runs directly at the center of the opposition's defense. And this is extremely effective when you have wingbacks staying on the touchline for you. And here we have the newer player role in the game, inverted winger. The inverted winger shows diagonal movement far more often than conventional wingers. He will move infield, giving space for the wingbacks to push on along the flanks. If we push up higher up the pitch, we have the inside forward, the advanced forward, and the pressing forward. So again, the inside forward aims to cut inside from the flanks and run directly at the defense. New position in the game, the pressing forward. A pressing forward's main duty is to put pressure on the defensive line, chase down the ball in possession and loose balls, and generally stop the opposing defense from having any time on the ball. In an attacking sense, he keeps things as simple as possible, preferring to bring other players into the game rather than create his own chances. This is very good for a high pressing system. Lastly, for the high wide position, we have the advanced forward. The advanced forward's main role is to lead the line and look to spearhead the attacking moves. His primary duty is to be the focal point of attacking moves, and he's required to score goals and create goals. If we come a little bit more inside, so here are the center striker positions. We'll use Aubameyang to illustrate. So the poacher. The poacher sits on the shoulder of the last defender, looking to break into the defensive line and run into the through balls sent from the midfields. He rarely offers much help in constructing the moves, preferring instead to remain central and sniff out opportunities in and around the box. My favorite position for my center forwards, Aubameyang, Lacazette, they're poachers for me. We have the deep lying forward. The deep lying forward's main function is to link the attack in the midfield. He aims to drop deep into space and hold up the ball before supplying linking passes to teammates. The complete forward. A complete forward possesses all the technical attributes of a deep lying forward, the ability to score of a poacher, and the strength and power of a target man. Such a player transcends tactical instruction and should be simply left to allowed to do his thing, like a Sergio Aguero, I assume, or Luis Suarez. Trequartista. Although the Trequartista is similar to the advanced playmaker, that he aims to drop into holes between the opposition's midfield and defense, the Trequartista does far less defensively and simply drifts around looking for space when the team is not in possession. Kind of like Mesut Ozil. The target man. A target man could transform an average team into a good one by using his sheer physicality to disrupt the opposition's defense. The target man uses his strength and aerial presence to bring teammates to the play rather than relying on his own technical ability. And of course, we have the advanced forward again, who looks to spearhead the attack, and the pressing forward, who's great for the high press system. As we see, we pretty much have all the forward positions covered. Let's see, put Aubameyang out there, got the 3. So lastly, in case some of you guys consider the cam to be part of the attacking line, again, we'll just look at Ozil, and we'll use him to describe the cam's positioning. So attacking midfielder requires excellent technical and mental skills. The attacking midfielder operates higher up the pitch than a standard midfielder, where he often fashions chances for himself and others in the final third before opposition defenders reduce the time and space he has on the ball to make a play. We talked about the Trequartista. He pretty much stays up and drifts and doesn't come back hard on defense. The advanced player looks for space between the holes of their defensive midfield line, looking to turn forward to create the attack. And lastly, the shadow striker. The shadow striker aggressively pushes forward into goal-scoring positions as the ball moves into the final third. He looks to close down opposition defenders when out of possession. This is another good for the high press. A shadow striker with a pressing striker. It's a very lethal defensive high press tactic. You may want to use that in your team if your team allows for that. Just focusing on the relationships on the tactics formation page. Over time, your players develop relationships with each other, both on and off the pitch, right? Players like to be around maybe ambitious players or players that are culturally similar to them, which makes their transition to the team easier. So as you can see here, I have some yellow relationships, some green relationships, and some no relationships. On the bottom left, you could go from their attacking moves to viewing their relationships. So you always want to make sure, especially in a big competition, you have players that like playing with each other. So I'm about to play Man City now. What I'm going to do is try to find a bunch of players that like playing with each other. So we'll go with this right here for now. Wonder if I could even get the goalie. No, so right now this is my best relationship team. So there's something to keep notice of as you're going through the years. Try to keep a core group together. Have players that like playing with each other. And to check that, of course, you just check their relationships page to see if they potentially become a combination. Quick saving first team selections. There's a little trick when you're creating your first 11 and your top 18, and where you could just load up preloaded squads, I guess I'd call it. It saves a lot of time when you're going from, let's say, Europa League to Premier League, Europa League to Premier League to Carling Cup. Instead of changing every player and every bench player over and over again, wasting time, we could just use preset teams to help reduce the time. So as we go into our first team, you can see right now this is my Premier League lineup. My better players are by far on this squad. But if I go to the bottom right corner and press actions, I could actually load my Europa team, which I called Team 2. So now if you look, it's Runnerson, Mustafi, Conte, Maitland-Niles. Again, load selection, my top team, I put 11. Now it's Leno, Bellerin, Saliba. So that's pretty much how you get it done. If I wanted to create another selection, right? Let's say I wanted to put in Runnerson with the first team. I would just press actions, save selection, create a name, run for Runnerson. Third slot, confirm, and now I have 3 teams. As I put the Europa team in, all right, Mustafi, Gabriel, Conte, load selection. Now my Runnerson Premier League team. So now I got Runnerson, Christensen, Tierney, Partey, and so forth. You'll find this tool very, very useful when you're going between competitions and you don't have to change 18 players manually every single time. In this video, we'll show you how to promote players from the youth team, either on a permanent basis or just for the next match. As you can see right now, I'm about to play West Ham in the Carabao Cup, and I think it's a good opportunity to bring up a youth player so he can get some first team experience. To do this, I go to my reserve team. I like to sort by value because that'll make the better players usually appear at the top. And my goalkeeper here, Clausen, I want to bring him up for this one cup match. To do this, I click on his name, and at the bottom right, you see move to first team. Now here I could promote him permanently, which would keep him on the first team after this match. But I have Leno, I have Runnerson, and I just signed Onana. So really I only want him to come up for one match, so then automatically he goes back to the reserve team, keeps developing and playing games over time. So I click next match. So I move to the first team, I'll sort by position. And now you can see my goalie, Clausen's ready, as well as Leno, Onana, and the injured Runnerson. You had to send a player down or demote a player just for one match to keep them in form. I realized a long time ago Arsenal needs a big squad because we're always injured. So I have about 4 or 5 players that may not see playing time in a 3 or 4 week stretch. So to keep them happy, to keep them active, to keep them playing, I like to send them down for a game every once in a while. So I'll show you how to do this. John Jules, high press. As you can see on the bottom right, there's an option called Move to Reserves, so I press this. Now you could demote a player permanently because maybe he's not good enough, but in my case, they are good enough to stay up. It's just have a deep squad, and they're under 22. I only do this for players under 22. If they're too old, I'd rather just sell them or release them. So I press for next match only, confirm. If I go to the reserves, there's John Jules. If you really had to move him back up right away, move to first team is right there. Player bios. So once you click on a player's name, you'll be brought to a few screens where you can check their stats and information. So here's Lord Mustafi. You could see his physical attributes, his tactical attributes, his technical attributes. You can see his wages, his value, when his contract expires, his nationality, his age, and his happiness in the squad. Mustafi's thumbs up, he's okay with his status in the squad. And I swipe to the right. More information. His favorite club he played for was Valencia, Au. He's part of our core group. He likes center back, he's ambitious. He's also Albanian, can speak many languages. He's happy to stay at the club, likes the atmosphere, hopes we'll get a result next match. He doesn't know about me yet though, or his situation with me, but I'll change soon. Let's swipe right. And then I like players to be ball playing defenders. These are the positions you could play. You could play on the right side. I think you play on the left side too. I think the game's missing that. Some of his good traits are he dives into tackles. Unfortunately, he argues with the refs. He moves the ball to right foot before dribbling attempt, so he's right dominant. What else do we got with Mustafi? His current contract expires 2023. He's available for selection for the next match. His history with the club. His trophy cabinet. His achievements and awards. The coach's report on Mustafi. He's not as good as our best defender, Christensen, who I signed. Positives, good aerial presence, good professional, good team player. Overall, he's a good player. Negatives, inaccurate long-distance shooting, and not a natural reader of the game. Yeah, we've seen that. And he's working on his passing. He's a bit older, so he might not improve that much, but there might be some improvement there. I'm going to be positive. We already did a lesson on training. Here's his progression of his training. Is he improving? Right now he's been pretty stationary. We swipe right, his previous matches. He played last match getting 8 rating. And lastly, player relationships. He's quite a professional, but everything else is eh. He has no positive relationships or negative relationships. And yeah, that's the depth of the player biography. You could also do transfer status, offer contract, move to reserves, offer non-playing role, release, offer to clubs, retrain the player, talk to the player, compare with another player, mentor another player, Saliba. And there you have it, people. Player bios. It's pretty deep, and it's only going to get deeper as the games progress year by year. Retraining player positions. So as I go to my first team, I'm going to find a position that I think a player will excel more than he's at right now. So right now, Tyranny likes left back, but I need wing backs in my system. So I go to action, I go to retrain position, and here I could pick whatever position I want him to learn. And for me, it's left wing back. So I press confirm, I press continue. As we look at the news, Tierney has now started a new training regime, which is aimed at retraining him to become a more natural left wing back. Now, depending how green he is in that section, that's how long it's going to be for him to learn it. So let's see how long I could get this guy to go. Sim, and here we go. Steve Round has indicated that Tierney is now comfortable playing as a left wing back. So now if you have a player that's more yellow or more orange or more red, it will obviously take more time for them to develop their new position. Tierney, being light green to dark green, took about, 4 days? So based off of that, do as you must. The earlier you get them started, the better. And don't be scared to put players in brand new positions because it's your world, your game. Do whatever you want. This video will focus on setting up player training schedules. So to do that, you go to the third button on the left, and we're going to go down to the training option. So here you'll see our list of players. I sort them by focus position. So goalkeepers, defenders, wingbacks, center mids, defensive mids, wide attackers, center attackers, and strikers and wingers. We'll just focus on the goalkeepers for this video, but it works for all of them, okay? So the longer way to do it, I would say, is you could go by name. So I'll press Leno, for example, and I could see what focus role I want to set up for him, how intense or unintense is he going to train, and then what's his primary attribute that he's going to work on. I like to go the younger the player, the more intense I make them train. You also get some information on his positives and his negatives. Does he have good potential? Is he worth keeping? Right? The short way to do this is, instead of pressing by name, you could just press literally where it says goalkeeper. You could go sweeper keeper right there. See levels of intensity, those little circles. You press the circle, you could switch the intensity right there. Want to do the attribute directly, you can switch the attribute right there. So there's 2 ways to do it. The long way, go into the name. How intense do you want him to train? What's he going to focus on? And then you have the shortcut. We just do it straight from the menu. Press the circles for intensity. Press the attributes. Right now, Runnerson has handling. I press hand, and I might want to switch it to his reflexes. And you go on following this all the way down. So I like my defense to be ball-playing defenders, which they all are. Younger players like Gabriel, they go intense. They're going to focus on their passing, which our system managers already have them doing. Right? And no matter who they are, I make them all play the same. And if they can't play ball-playing defender, I sell them. Get rid of them. It's time for that. So right now, Socrates, he's too old to learn anything new. So he's one of the next players out on the transfer market. Let's just do the strikers quickly as one last example. So Lacazette could plead forward. I like poachers. He's a bit older, so I'll keep him on normal intensity. I think strikers should always work on shooting, movement, technique. Same thing. My wide players, I'd like to be inside forwards. So Martinelli inside forward, Pepe inside forward. Martinelli's younger, so I go intense. He keeps working on his movement. And again, one last example, the longer way, press the name like Pepe. Focus on a couple of statistics. What position does he like? And once you're done doing that for your whole team, I say do it at the beginning of every season. You don't really have to worry about it, and it saves right there. Maybe you'll alternate once every few weeks, alternate once every few months. But overall, you figure out what you got to do to get your team to where they got to get to. If you have any questions, leave in the comment sections. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.